Now that I've got a better camera. Hello there, Internet. Welcome to the International Writers Fellowship. My name's Daniel Hand, and this week I am once again joined by Jen of Jane's Dreamy Bookshelf and Ember of Robots and Magic, or Diana Gray, Creative Services.
We just talk about robots and magic here.
What day
Fine. I got too many irons in the fire.
How's everybody doing?
It's a Monday after a holiday. It's a struggle.
Hey, at least you got a holiday.
That's true. We just want more of it.
Yeah, never end. Why is it the same for you guys? But when you get a day off, national holiday, the week around it just feels longer. Is that? Yeah. Why is that? Because we get bank holidays over here. They're either Mondays or Fridays, and you would think, okay, we've got a 4-day week. Surely it's going to fly. It drags. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it? The watched pot never boils. It's because you're like counting down to that time, so it just seems to take forever.
I've never heard that saying before. I like that.
No, you haven't.
There's that. There's like you generally like travel for holidays, or you have people over for holidays, or you're cooking, you're doing something. So like I was all over the place last week. Tired.
It's a little hard to hear you.
Is it?
There
How
we
about
go.
now?
Did you do anything for the Revolting People Day?
Democracy Day.
I hid inside from the heat.
Hey, the way your country's going, I'd be hiding inside from the democracy.
It's really the lack thereof that we're concerned about.
Yes, indeed.
What was I going to say?
On your holiday, we were voting, and we've now got a different scenario to the one we had this time last week. So, rock on.
Is it good or bad?
See, the thing is, I think we were on to a lose-lose, whichever. The people who were in power, they'd been in power for 14 years. A, they'd run out of ideas, and B, they just started taking the piss, shall we say? Whereas the guys who are now in don't have any policies. Their only policy was, we aren't those guys. And I'm like, okay, how's this gonna go? And every time Labour is in power, they leave the country in crippling debt. So,
jeez,
it's color me nervous, shall we say? But hey, we'll have to wait and see.
Welcome in, Charlene. We are talking politics, and I'm trying really hard not to say words right now. I've been a news junkie for the past few weeks, and I have so many thoughts about so many things, but this is a writing stream.
Hey, you can't write about you can't write without politics, because let's face it, politics influences everything.
You'll see my political thoughts and feelings in my books. You saw them in Manny Fuego. You'll see them a little more subtly in my fantasy series, but yeah, once I start talking politics, it's just going to get really like so.
Okay.
Down.
So card time. I did cards last week, but that was on. I've got a new deck since then. If we could have a look at that, or do you want to do somebody else?
New deck.
I have just the same old stuff every time, so.
Okay, because I've counted. I've only got 8 more on the way. Shush, leave me alone. I don't have a problem.
No, you don't.
So this is the Elemental Strength Tarot, and it's got nice shiny. It's nice and prismatic on the sides. It feels like plastic, but I don't want to. They're quite slippery, but in a good way. So if you shuffle, cards are prone to jump out. It's, but not so often that it becomes irritating. It's So then let's see what we've got. The problem with it, though, is the book is terrible.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. So, and I keep getting this card from this deck as well, which is weird. I don't know.
It's trying to
What
tell
are
you.
they trying to tell you?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got the 7 of Cups.
Oh,
But yeah, so they've got all the cards have got elementals on it. So the cups are water elementals, wands are fire elementals, swords are, if I can find a sword, air elementals.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and pentacles are earth. If I can find a pentacle, pentacles are earth. Anyway. So 7 of Cups. I think in fact, I've got the 7 of Cups page open already because I was.
That's crazy.
So the 7 of Cups is a card of new opportunities, choices, and at times illusion. When the 7 of Cups appears in a tarot reading, you have many options and opportunities from which you can choose. But be careful, you are prone to illusion and unrealistic ideals. An opportunity with promises of more money, more fame, or more power may sound appealing, but as you look deeper into what is on offer, you may realize it's not everything it's cracked up to be. Your ego may pull you in a specific direction, but it's important you check in with your higher self first. Evaluate your options and dig below the surface to discover what's involved with each choice. Often the 7 of Cups can be a sign of wishful thinking and projecting into the future about what you would like to create, rather than taking action here in the present to make it happen. For example, you may wish for a fitter, healthier body until it's time to get out there and exercise. I'm not going out to exercise. Or you might wish for a successful business fueled by passive income, but you're not ready and willing to put in the hard work now to enjoy the fruits of your labor later. If you spend most of your time wishing but not doing the work, then it's time to choose just one thing and make it happen. You may find that your ideas are not grounded in reality. Your plans might sound fabulous in your imagination, but when it comes to implementing them, you may realize they do not work in the real world. This card is inviting you to move out of the ideas and options phase and choose. Each option will have its pros and cons. It's up to you to make sure that the option you select is in alignment with your purpose and your highest good.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that applies to you in some way, Dan, since you've pulled it a couple times?
Yeah.
Well, whenever I've drawn it previously, I've been thinking of it mostly in terms of personal situations, about trying to figure out ways through a particular scenario. So when that comes up for me, I immediately go down that route. But if looking at it specifically in terms of writing, so I've started a couple of projects the past week just to try and get any writing done. I submitted a short story to a ghost anthology. Got the word out eventually. Yesterday, day before, and they were very specifically looking for 1,000 words or under. There is more of a market for 1,000-word fiction than 10,000-word fiction, so I'm thinking I'm going to try and write some short stories, and see. Hopefully that would be easier. It will get me work, get some projects finished, and B, it might mean that I've got some opportunities for submitting. So one of them is a project for Chandler that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, and the other one is just quick. It's going to be a bust up, a magical punch up, with 2 characters who are a spin-off from Bellic and Kairos.
Oh, nice.
So it's basically female versions of Bellic and Kiros. So yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I think just to bring it back to the card, maybe what it's saying is just focus on one of those rather than get too mixed up. But I don't know. We'll see. If I had to make a choice between them now, I don't know which one I would choose. That's the only issue. So I'll ponder. How about yourselves?
I want to get something written for Chandler. I keep putting that on the back burner. And does he have a word requirement? I forget.
I think we said, was it between 1,000 and 2,000? Is that what I said to you, Dan?
I think so. I think
you had asked about that too. I think that was the case.
Because I remember him being horrified at 3,500. So,
yeah,
that's right.
So less than that.
Maybe around. Well, because I guess every 1,000 words would be about 10 minutes of audio.
Yeah.
So I think he was looking for shorter bits, maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
And that's about 10. It's about 1 to 1,500 words. 1,000
Yeah.
1,500. Okay, that's easy. I should just do that. I'm slowly getting all of my routines back in order that make me able to write and do things consistently. So I'm reading before bed again. I started running again. Now I'm okay, now we got to start doing the writing before bed. Writing then reading. It's not a bad combo.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's such a good way to wind down.
I'm trying to, so I've got a couple things going with my narrations. I'm just trying to find, I don't know, my channel's not doing, it's on the low end. So I'm trying to figure out okay, what sleep stories do people want? Because there are successful sleep story channels out there. So I'm just trying to figure out. So I thought, okay, well, one guy's successful doing video game style sleep stories. So I was okay, well, where you're, the world you write about is based around the video game, but then you can obviously take it in any direction you want to.
Narrative RPG kind of thing.
Yeah. So I've been kind of playing around with that to see. Yeah. So
I could write some dreamy ones from Zelda worlds.
That would be cool. Yeah. I mean, if you have time and want to, I'd love to read that on my channel.
It's not about having time, it's making time.
Yeah.
Just don't mention the water temple.
What if you make it sexy? That's for Chandler.
Yeah, then we could put it on his channel.
A sexy water temple. Okay, fair enough.
Link and Zelda revisit the water temple after they've, already rescued Hyrule, and things get a little...
It gets wet in different ways.
It gets a little wetter. Yeah, writes itself. Come into the pool with me, Zelda. Come on.
Yeah.
I swore we wouldn't do the erotica talk without Erica here.
I know.
We did.
Missing.
Hi, Jules. Lovely having you here again.
It's warm,
yeah.
Link. Sorry. I'm stopping. Stop. Write itself. I'll write that down.
So, okay. So you're just trying to figure out where to take that side of things.
Yeah. To get more views.
Traction.
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to think. So, for all of us, from the sounds of it, it's a case of just treating it like work rather than just kind of hoping that it'll do itself.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm at my best when I think of it as I get to write. I've made time to write, and now I get to do it. And once I'm in it, I'm happy to be doing it. It's just other things there's always laundry and dishes and end of my days.
Oh crap, I forgot to take the laundry out. Oops. It's been one of those days. Okay.
Brain meltingly hot in here too. I have to finish writing my speech. I'm putting refining touches on it, but I think I need to send it to myself so I can work inside. Because oh my god, too hot.
When are you giving it again?
I'm presenting on Thursday.
Nice.
I gotta put the finishing touches on it, and I don't think I can work out here anymore, or I'm gonna die.
Don't do
Please
that.
don't. We kind of like having you around.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Cool. So, what did we want to talk about today? One thing I will mention before we actually get started. I've started reading. So I'm sure everybody else here has seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. Nobody's seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Sorry.
Chandler's seen it, but he's not here.
Well, the cartoon you're not a fan of, Emma.
Either. I wasn't into the cartoon. I tried, and then I didn't want to watch the movies because I didn't care for the cartoons. It's just not my stuff.
I haven't seen any of the live action stuff.
It's just not for me, you know.
Well, I've started reading one because I got the box set of books, and the books are very pretty, and so far they're quite fun. But just nice, colourful. So, and I've got 4 of them.
Wow.
So it's cool. So yes, topics. Did we want to? Because we spoke about romance last week, but romance being a big topic of conversation, we only got a fraction of the way into it.
Yeah.
Did you want to carry on? I heard. Oh yeah, see, Jules agrees with me. Yeah, see.
It can be the best.
What's it called? I heard a couple of film critics on BBC Radio 4, I think it was. Might well have been yesterday, talking about love triangles in narratives and how ubiquitous they are. So I was thinking maybe we could talk a bit about them in terms of it, or did somebody have anything in specific they wanted to?
I would love to keep talking about love triangles. So I have a question. They're ubiquitous. Are they ubiquitous because people like reading them, or are they just a trend right now?
Oh, it's certainly not right now. This has been going on. I mean,
over the past decade in writing.
No, I mean this. Yeah, but this has been going on for as long as fiction has existed. I mean, the Iliad, for example, the first. One of the
famously.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, I think that there's been, because we talked last time about how there's more of a market for romance, and YA novels really had like a boom over the past 15 years. It seems like that's a natural element in a YA novel, is you have the, books spanning love triangle. And then, let us not forget Twilight.
Yeah.
Twilight. Don't know what you mean. Never heard of it.
So they're ubiquitous. Like, why are they ubiquitous?
Yeah, go on.
Because they have to choose.
Is that realistic? Is that why people like it? Like, do people often find themselves in love triangles when they're younger, or is it just like a fantasy if you're the same sex as the protagonist, or you identify with the protagonist and they're choosing between 2 people who are like, come with me? Is that just like a wish fulfillment? Like, think from the perspective of the reader. For what that's where I'm coming from. Like, what are readers getting from this?
I mean, I would say that depends very much on A, the audience, but B, kind of the themes of the book. So something like Twilight, you've got a teenage girl with 2 hot boys fighting over her. That is very much wish fulfillment. But then you've got what's it called? Things like
Hunger Games has a love triangle. Same idea though. Teenage girl with hot boys. Sorry, so something like, I interrupted you.
No. What's the Casablanca? I could not think of the name. film that,
Mm.
where
Deep cut.
she's trying to where she's it's like the romance over the duty kind of thing.
Mm.
And very much kind of like and that, so you've got the wish fulfillment, or you've got kind of the status quo changing. Am I going to stick with the same old, which I know is safe but boring, or do I go for something that's fresh and exciting, but will it work out, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got other stories where the love triangle and the romance elements in general are just kind of thrown in there for convenience, which I'm sure we'll agree would be the least satisfying read amongst them.
Oh, Jules says a type of tension conflict that makes sense for the genre. I missed that when it came up, so I'm not sure what she's referring to, but I see it now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've got your genre, you've got YA, you've got fantasy, and if you don't make it appropriate, don't make the love triangle appropriate to the story you're writing, it's just going to go, what?
Mm-hmm.
And Charlene,
Staying the same and growing. Yeah. So, like, I wrote a love triangle into my fantasy. Actually, I have a few fantasy book, because it's a coming of age story, and so there's a lot of that, like, who was I versus who am I becoming? What did I want versus what do I want? And when I enter adulthood and life is suddenly very different than I expected it to be, and I'm changing, is it okay that the people I want changes, or that I start to want new people, but also the old people, and like, how do I integrate all that? And I think you can say a lot about a character through a love triangle, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I use it to do that. And to like make my characters a little more immature, because I feel like sometimes they're too worldly. But I'm like, but they're still falling all over each other and being silly. So
there you go. You got to balance it out.
Yeah. I don't want people to read this and be like, she's 30.
Oh, I had something.
I know. I saw it in your face. I could see it in your eyes.
Singing.
Your smile. Oh, yeah. I sang a lot on my stream earlier, and I apologize to anyone who was there and is now here.
You don't need to apologize. The
fans. Somebody else carry on talking, because the deep and meaningful thing I had is gone.
We were talking about character development, love triangles. What do readers want out of it? Oh, characters also find out things about themselves through each person. Who do I want to be? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch a character meet a new person and be falling in love, and then also like changing along with that process, like visibly and not so subtly. Like, I just talk about my book because I'm like right in the middle of all the love triangles exploding. I'm like, I love writing this stuff.
So why then are they so popular amongst particular readers? So just to return to that question, because I realize now I answered the wrong question. I answered what types of love triangles are there, rather than why do people read them.
Yeah, why are people into them? Are people into them?
Well, yes, because otherwise they wouldn't be as popular as they are. I mean, we know that romance is easily the biggest selling genre in fiction.
It's definitely had a big boom lately. I would say.
Just trying to think, I've got a few here, but it's very much that case of, if you feel unloved in the world and suddenly you've got two people fighting over you, or you have choices, you don't, so it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be happy no matter what decisions you make. You know,
Mhm.
unless, of course, you've got one of those stories where one of the options is clearly toxic, in which case, so like Twilight, for example.
That everybody's toxic in Twilight, you know, like I watch Twilight now and I'm drooling over Charlie. I'm like, yeah, Dad, go take out the gun. He's like a responsible adult with a house and a stable job, and he goes out to eat once a week. He's got a happy life. He likes to go fishing. He's a simple man. He likes his beers. I would totally date Charlie. Team Charlie. Hello, Chazaroo.
Jazz, lovely seeing you again. You haven't been around for ages. I hope you're well.
I feel as though I've divulged too much to the audience now about my preferences and lovers. So
you're building. Yeah, that would.
Who do you think you are, Gary?
Yeah, I know.
Gary, is that you? Just kidding. We missed you, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Gary's on a road trip, isn't he? I think he was saying.
Yeah, family reunion or something.
Yay, that's exciting. Although I hate driving.
Mm-hmm.
Hate being in the car. So love triangles.
So what? Well, okay. So just starting us off easy. What are our favorite types of love triangles? What if we have a love triangle in a story we're reading or that we're writing? What are our preferences? And why?
Broad, like I don't even know how to answer that.
Well, I meant in terms of, is it young lovers finding themselves? Is it somebody breaking out of a stuffy relationship? Is it, you know, a quick affair and then back to the way things were?
Yes to all of it. Oh, Chaz says no love triangle. So see, we've got some anti-love triangle action. This is good. So Chaz, why are you anti-love triangle?
Yeah.
This is a safe space. I'm kind of love triangle neutral.
Pressure.
Seeing the pain of each of the characters go through with the conflict. Yep.
Okay. So.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Booney. Lovely having you with us. All love triangled out. Yeah. So. Because that kind of takes us back to, well, what is the love triangle? Are we going for something realistic? Are we going for something fancy? Because in a lot of love triangle, in YA, for example, it isn't presented as cheating. It's presented as
desire.
You've got, I'm horny. I want both of you, but I can only have one of you. What do I do?
Well, it's not just that either. I mean, it's also like, I think you fall in love a little more easily when you're young or into deep like with people. So,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about sex.
Is it not?
No. No. Oh, Chaz says I could probably handle one where a guy brings in a second girl and the girls both ditch him for each other. That would be a fun one.
That would be excellent. Okay, get on with writing that one, please, Jazz. I mean, we need that.
Yeah.
Could write that for Chandler.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's funny. I mean, I like a love triangle if it's well written. I don't like two boys fighting over some teenage girl who's kind of not remarkable. Although, the YA heroines are always like super remarkable.
Yeah.
But like clumsy.
Well, that was because obviously we had Hunger Games, but you also had Divergent, didn't you? Which was exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Charlene says, I want to see more representation of poly relationships, successful and consensual love triangles. I have a polyamorous character in my book. And it's interesting. Because people don't necessarily know yet the particulars of... Anyway. That'll be fun. That'll be fun for people to uncover. Concurrent lovers.
Sorry, what lovers?
I said concurrent lovers.
Concurrent lovers. I thought you said inherent lovers. Inherent
Nah.
lovers. Yeah. How about yourself, Jane? Any thoughts?
I don't know.
You
I'm
sound
not.
pained.
The more I think about it, I'm like, these love triangles aren't so great. I don't know. Because it is like, I mean, I guess it doesn't always have to be cheating, but it does bring up some good conflict for sure and tension. So, I mean,
As long as nobody
that's
gets
what you're
hurt.
into.
Oh, but I have to hurt my darlings in my books. It's okay. It's how they grow.
That's the thing, though. Wouldn't somebody get hurt in a love triangle
I mean, that's yeah.
once they make the choice?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Somebody has to get hurt if it's unless they successfully become a triad, which
Mm. Yeah.
Well, either that. I mean, because Amber, you've gone all jerky.
am I jerky? Uh-oh.
Just
Okay,
fuzzy.
great. I'll
now.
move more. Okay.
Yeah, but I suppose it's a case of. I mean, one way of it, people not getting hurt is you realize two of them realize that they're just friends or something like that. Or I mean, so I'm all of a sudden I'm thinking of the new Spider-Man. So the Tom Holland Spider-Man business, where the first film he was in a relationship with. Developing a relationship with Vulture's daughter, but we, the audience, knew that he was destined to get together with MJ, and so that was a love triangle, even though it wasn't written as a love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, yeah, they weren't necessarily happy about that first relationship not working, but it went away amicably. As amicably as a Spider-Man relationship ever ends.
Oh, geez. Oh, Chaz says, I don't like hurting anyone, not even characters. I'm too soft to be a real writer. Prefer an adventure. I don't think that makes you too soft. I think that just means that you have your own preferences, and some people want to read a story that's cozy and the lovers stay lovers or find each other and there's no outside conflict to that piece of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was thinking about the Night Circus and how the romance unfolds in that story, and how, there's this one pairing that you want to get together through the whole story, but they each have different lovers throughout that, and it's not a thing. It's not like a problem. It just you kind of see them evolve and get ready. Yeah, they just have life, and it spans many years, and so when you do see them, get together. It's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
and nobody really got hurt, right? Like, they just kind of moved on from people. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I think somebody did get hurt, Dan. It worked out.
It worked out, but yeah.
There was a moment of conflict. Not saying cozy, but just the lovey stuff. There's so much fun to be had in a story without all that. Like The Great Escape, they mostly die, but there's no in it.
You're not wrong.
You've lost me.
You're not wrong. And if Gordon Jackson could just not say thank you, all of their problems would have been fine. Good luck. Thank you. Come on, Gordon. What were you doing?
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
and read it. Sorry.
So basically, do you know the basic story of it?
They escape from jail.
No, so it's a bunch of prisoners of war in Second World War Germany, and they break out of the prison they're in, and at one point, so they have to learn German phrases to get out, and they're about to get on a bus. They're being questioned by a German officer, and they're just doing it. They're just about to pull the wool over his eyes. He puts his foot on the bus, and the German officer says, "Good luck." And Gordon Jackson's character said, "Thank you." It's like, no! And it's one of those things. Every time you watch the film, it's like, "Don't do it. don't do it. Just don't. Oh, you did it. You know.
Mm.
And they all die. Spoiler alert.
The film came out 60 years ago.
Did you also know that Darth Vader? No.
No way.
So yeah, romance just isn't for Chaz. Chaz likes adventure stories. You know, I think we also, when we're writing romance, have to be like okay with the fact that it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, a lot of love triangles do involve adultery. You know, the characters are in monogamous relationships with somebody else, and then they're in a relationship with a third party, and how do you do that with ethically? You know.
Because that's the thing. And when I talk about these kinds of stories with my partner, he gets all like, men get really upset about physical cheating more often, and women tend to get more upset about emotional cheating. And so if I'm talking about like, oh, and these two characters kiss, it's like, oh no, but if there's this huge like emotional affair going on, he doesn't seem to like think that's a big deal. Whereas I would be more upset if my husband kissed somebody, was like with somebody else and like having that emotional relationship with them, than if he just kissed somebody randomly or semi-randomly. So, and that can change depending on gender dynamics and your own personal thoughts and feelings. But so yeah, for some people, love triangles are just squicky because it's.
But also, there's a chance for the author to wimp out in the. So I'm thinking there was a film. Oh God, 20 plus years ago with Harrison Ford in it and David Schwimmer. Harrison Ford was a pilot, and he and David Schwimmer's girlfriend or fiance, they were flying and they crash landed on an island with lots of bad people on it and adventures and all that. And it being a film with Harrison Ford in it, obviously he's got to end up with the girl. So, and the way the writers decided to handle it was by making David Schwimmer's character a complete douche. You know, so as soon as he found out that the plane had crashed, he goes off, gets drunk, and shags a prostitute. And it's like, whereas prior to that, he had been nothing but devoted.
That's so cowardly.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Come on.
Yeah.
No,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But because we don't want a lot of times we don't want our protagonists to be the quote unquote bad guy. And if they're the one cheating on somebody, then, you know.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. I like a flawed main character. Like, you know, especially if they're in a situation where emotional tensions are running high or on an adventure, I don't know. It would have been interesting to see that written out without the character just becoming a douche and the decision being really easy to make. Like,
yeah,
lame.
But as you say, it's just that there was it was a cowardly way of handling it, and that's not the only time I've seen it happen. For example, you know, it's like, oh well, we've got to have a reason for the character to do what they're doing. Yeah, Shaz, absolutely.
Yeah. I guess I think too about The Notebook, where both of the guys are pretty good guys. One's obviously the old boyfriend, and you know, things happen to where, you know, they couldn't communicate, and then she's got the new fiance, and I don't know, that to me felt a little more realistic and not so much fantasy kind of a thing. And I thought it was handled well, but again, they're still kind of cheating on that Well, they are on
Yeah.
their fiance. So
I guess I just don't mind that from a main character.
Oh,
I don't know why that is. It just makes for a more interesting story, I guess.
yeah.
And it's fiction. I don't know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
not real people getting hurt.
this is the end of. I
Hmm.
don't think I've read much Michael Moorcock. I've got some of his stuff here, but I certainly haven't read. I certainly haven't read that one.
I want to write that down.
Yeah, that's the end of time. I shall have a look. Thank you. Thanks. One. See, I think I've said previously that my favorite single series is the Poldark series. The writing in it is masterful. It's just so good, and it has an amazingly well written love triangle in it, where I absolutely hate the guy for doing what he does, because he cheats on his wife, and when it happens, but when it happens, it's completely not a surprise. It's been building up towards it. It's like a train crash about to happen. It's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and yet when it happens, you're so angry with him for doing what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And really well written. And I forgot the point I was going to make when I started out making that. Sorry.
That's the main character, though? Who does
That's the main character, yeah. And because basically he starts off in love with one woman, and he's been away at war for a long time. He comes back and she's engaged to his cousin. And so, they both just kind of move on in their lives, but clearly stay besotted with each other. And then X years later, I can't remember exactly the scenario that happened, but basically
Didn't her husband die or something? Or he did something to where she was...
Yes, that's the one. Oh, yes, of course, that's it. Yeah, so her first husband, the cousin, died, and she got engaged to marry the main character's, eternal enemy. And
Yes.
he goes off and basically says, let's, and it's just a vile act. It really is just the way he. Yet it's just so well written, because you could see it happening 3 or 4 books ago. But as an act, it's just like it took a long time to move past, and I still haven't forgiven him for it. So they can be very effective. It depends really on what you want them to be effective for.
Yeah.
I find that interesting. I'm just thinking so much about my own main character and like all of the nonsense that happens in my first book with the romance, and I'm like, not everybody's gonna like her. Not everybody's gonna agree with what she does. I hope they'll understand. I hope they'll enjoy it. But and like I said earlier, for me, that's like a way to show people's emotional immaturity, their growth, their what have you. Plus, it's fun. It's fun to watch characters fall in love.
I saw a beautiful meme. Well, it wasn't a meme, it was just a comment, where a bloke was saying that he was GMing 2 people, and a husband and wife, and they'd been playing together for 20 plus years, and they'd been married for about that same length of time, and their characters always ended up falling in love, and it was always really cute watching these 2 people fall in love over and over again. It's just great characters, way better than, but yeah.
I tend to think so. Plus, you get to watch these characters grow for books and books. So, in book 1, they're like this, and I don't know. But I have wondered about that. Like, if I write this character doing something that most people think is wrong and despicable, like, how are you going to be on board with her through her POV for the rest of the story? Or are you? Or are you going to empathize because you've been in that position? Like,
Yeah.
so part of writing a love triangle and like having your characters do things that aren't necessarily moral is like being brave enough to have some people be like, not for me, no thanks. I was thinking earlier about my presentation and it's about social media. And I was thinking about the idea of trying to be appealing to everyone. And I was just thinking, like, if you try to appeal to everyone, you really aren't appealing to anybody. So you have to let go of that like universal idea of like, it has to be palatable for everyone. Like, it's not going to be. Just market to a British audience. We love that. You guys love messy stuff and morally gray characters? Cool.
We watched, well, I didn't personally, but we watched Game of Thrones just as much as you guys.
Did love Game of Thrones.
And I mean, I suppose that's, I mean, so lots of relationship triangles in Game of Thrones, but they were very much presented as sex triangles. I mean, there wasn't much love going around, as from what I'm aware of. So yeah, one person was married to somebody else, but shagging somebody else, and weren't really in love with either of them. They were just getting their end away, and it was so technically that's a triangle, but
I would just call that more cheating. I feel like when there's a triangle, everybody's kind of aware that they're part of a triangle. Otherwise, it's just flat out just cheating.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is as interesting.
Okay. So the awareness of each of the characters is a factor.
For me, yeah. Like, it needs to be kind of a slow boiling thing where, you know, characters are drawn, like, if your character is going to have some morality, they have to be conflicted about it, you know? They have to feel that, and you have to see that, and you want to see that because you want to know how this person's going to react in that situation. So if they just go off and sleep with somebody because they're like, that person's attractive, I want to do it, there's nothing there. There's no tension, there's no buildup, there's no storytelling. It's just,
yeah.
And maybe that's your character, but you'd have to write that in such a way that it would make sense. Like, now I'm thinking about Tony Soprano, who's always cheating on his wife in The Sopranos, but that's to illustrate that he is a terrible, awful, bad person.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call any of his mistresses like part of a love triangle. I think it's a totally different thing, of which there are many.
Yeah.
But even the girls he dates long term, like, they're still not, you know. Then you have love triangles with the abusive ex. Enough with Jennifer Lopez. I don't remember
Which one's enough?
enough about that movie. I just remember her beating the crap out of her ex-husband at the end, and that was awesome. Good movie.
Don't remember that one at all.
Oh my gosh! Unlike Ross, who was just on a break. Chaz, yes.
What?
We were on a break.
What?
See, I think Rachel should have forgiven him. It was a mistake. It was a bad one. But he, you know, she should have, like, but it wouldn't have made for good TV.
Yeah. And that famous line.
Exactly. You know, how many seasons ended with we were on a break?
Yeah.
I feel like that was their cliffhanger. Maybe the point of the triangle is to highlight the tension between the idea of choice versus the inevitability of falling in love. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Great way to put it.
You can't help who you love. And I think most people in their lives will come into a situation where they are in love with someone, but interested in someone else, even if they don't ever act on it. There is that, you know, I don't think everybody's capable of like complete mental and physical monogamy at all times. Like, you have to entertain ideas once in a while. So So yeah, reading how that plays out for other characters is interesting.
Mhm.
And you saying that reminds me of a line from Bernard Cornwell, one of his Arthur books. The main character meets, the love of his life. They get together, and the part of the framing story is he's talking to basically his niece about his life. And she asks him if he ever cheated on his wife, and he says no. And I think the exact wording is no. I replied truthfully, and then she says, "Did you ever want to?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, lust doesn't disappear with happiness."
Yeah.
Which
Very true.
I thought was a good line.
Oh, chat's going off.
Oh, yeah.
Highlights the folly of marrying the wrong person just because they're there, which I think a lot of people end up doing. I remember like making friends as an older adult. I don't know if I'm an older adult yet, and seeing some marriages that I thought maybe were just, musical chairs marriages. It's about time to sit down, so I'm going to sit down with this person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I call a musical chairs marriage.
And both Jules and Bernie saying prefer the actual choice rather than
Yeah.
Well, exactly that. If you start like a love triangle and then the protagonist goes back to the original person, doesn't that mean they had to actually think about their relationship and choose it rather than just being there because it's been there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm 23 years and we still haven't got married. Oh,
you.
I thought you said you were 23 years old, and I had a minute, and I was like, I mean, I don't think marriage is necessarily the ultimate declaration of relationship status and love. Like,
there is that back in the 90s there was a beautiful television series over in the UK. It had Judi Dench in it, which a lot of people know. It was called As Time Goes By, and basically it was about two people in late middle age who were lovers when they were young, and he goes off to fight. I think might have been Korea or something like that, and they just lost touch, and they go off, they get married, they have their own lives, and then purely by chance they bump into each other, and the series is all about them re-falling in love, and it's really cute. It's the DVD. I don't have to watch it. So yeah, it's very. You can have a relationship with three people involved, and it not necessarily be a triangle per se. It's how you, because there was no element of choice there. It was just a case of they got married, then they were no longer married, and they met each other again.
I don't know if that's a triangle then.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can have relationships with multiple people and not have them be triangles.
Right. Which I think is like good to show in fiction. I feel like we still have this idea that you have to find somebody and be with them for the rest of your life, and that is the only way that a relationship is ever successful. And I look back at relationships that I had when I was younger, and I was like, we weren't meant for each other, but we were good, and I really loved that person, and I still have love for that person, and like, it just wasn't gonna. I didn't want to have babies with that person.
Well, I think I said last week, I take issue with the idea that happily ever afters are, because it's often said that if it isn't a happily ever after, it isn't a romance. I'm like, well, you can have intensely romantic experiences with somebody without spending the rest of your life with them. And I often say, so it's like with Pride and Prejudice. It ends with them getting married. That's not the end of their story. You know, they've got the rest of their lives to go through, but the rest of their lives are going to be monotonous and running around after children. That's not going to be that isn't necessarily romantic. So why is that ending seen as more romantic than, we were star-crossed lovers, but for some reason we're never going to see each other again.
Mhm.
Moulin Rouge, exactly. Yeah.
Good point. Chaz says it shows that you shouldn't regret the past because the past always affects the present. Stuff is just meant to be or not. Yep. I think that comes with getting older, because I used to say that I had to banish all my ex-boyfriends to the island of misfit boyfriends, and I think some of them can stay among us. There are some who need to stay on the island, though.
Chaz, if you wouldn't make that comment if you'd been here last week, because Ember doesn't like Colin Firth.
Sorry. And then we brought up Moulin Rouge again, and it's Ewan McGregor.
And Dan, I don't think likes him, so
I don't dislike him. I just don't.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
Look, you had to be a 14-year-old girl watching him sing love songs in an elephant to really understand what this feels like. The minute he belts out, "My gift is my song."
Great. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't
Charlene
seen.
just got the shivers. I believe it.
Ages. I haven't. Oh my god, Trainspotting.
He is not sexy in Trainspotting. He's disgusting. What a horrible movie. He's sexy as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I will die on that hill. Oh, what happens after they get married?
Oh yeah, which series is that?
I think she's talking about the Pride and Prejudice. Maybe.
I don't know.
To my knowledge, there aren't any books after Pride and Prejudice. So there
Well,
was
not
one.
by the original author, but
Well, there was one written called "Death Comes to Pemberley," which was a murder mystery. Oh, of course, yeah. Glamorous History of Mary Robinette Kowal. Yes, basically Pride and Prejudice, but with magic.
nice. Yeah.
Mary Robinette is on Writing Excuses, which is a good podcast. Yeah, of course. So yeah, so the first book is a straight up retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but with magic, and then the rest of the books after it, they're a married couple and going around having magical adventures. I think one of them is a heist novel set in Venice, as I recall. Because
I like that.
why not?
I will also say shout out to Time Traveler's Wife for showing relationships in various stages. Although some people take umbrage with that story because
It's weird.
it's a bit weird. But I really enjoyed it.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
It is a little confusing, but I did like it.
I mean, it's odd because you think about the timey-wiminess of it all. It's like he met her when she was a child, but he'd met her before when she was an adult, and it's like I don't know, man. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I tried to take part in the paint on that, but the romance is really sweet, like especially in their older years. So again,
Or when he goes back and he's like, "What did I do this time?" When she's mad at the one that's in the present time.
so cute.
Yeah.
So cute. I just kind of love their dynamic. Nuns are scarier than zombies.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is funny.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
It's got one of the best lines ever, delivered by Matt Smith. Oh, fuddle! I love it.
Oh, I
Oh,
like that one.
fuddle!
Well,
See, zombies are always fun. Oh my gosh, it's melting hot out here, you guys.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get away from this table because I am in all levels of agony right now. So I enjoyed
Shiny
today's
today.
chat.
yeah, did a lot of participation. That was really nice.
So, any final things to add about love triangles, Jen?
They're complicated.
Amber?
They're delightful and I love them and I will never stop writing them. You can't make me.
Good to know. And on that note, thanks everybody for joining us and taking part in the conversation. Yeah, I want photos. But no, just yeah. If you, it sounds like you might have your hands full. Don't worry.
That's all right. We're always glad to see you when you can pop in.
Indeed. Where can we be found, Jen?
Jane's Dreamy Bookshelf on YouTube, Insight Timer, Patreon, and Spotify.
Amber.
You can find me at Robots and Magic, wherever you get your internet. I stream Fallout on Monday mornings, and I'm going to be adding an evening stream with my buddy Tech coming up soon. You can also link to my Ko-fi, my TikTok, and all other things. But for the rest of the day, you can find me in the pool.
And you can find me on YouTube at the RPG Therapist or online at monomythcounselling.co.uk. Or actually, I've just done a panel on Continual, the con that never ends, where we spoke about Monty Python. And of course, me being me, I made sure that we finished the day by singing the Philosopher's Song.
Thank you, Chaz.
We're all singing. We're all singing, all dancing crew.
Indeed. Yeah, man, your count was a real... Anyway, lovely for you all to join us. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.